Here is a theologically grounded viewpoint exploring the idea that Zionism, as rooted in Scripture, is not colonialist but covenantal. Restricted to the divinely ordained land boundaries of Israel and intended to spread influence not through conquest, but through a righteous example. Zionism at its core is not a modern invention, but a biblical mandate, a covenantal restoration of the Jewish people to their God-given land. Far from being an imperial or colonial movement seeking territorial expansion, Zionism is geographically bounded and morally expansive. According to Scripture, the land of Israel has defined borders given by God Himself, and the influence of Israel is intended to extend not through domination, but through righteousness and spiritual example. Let's look at Zionism and its defined borders. God clearly delineated the territorial extent of Israel in His covenant with Abraham. In Genesis chapter 15, verses 18 through 21, God promises Abraham's descendants land, from the river of Egypt to the great river, the Euphrates, explicitly listing the peoples whose land would become Israel's inheritance. These borders are repeated and further clarified in Numbers chapter 34, verses 1 to 12, where God instructs Moses on the exact geographical boundaries of the Promised Land, marking the southern, northern, eastern, and western limits. These divine boundaries are not to be exceeded. Deuteronomy chapter 19, verse 14 warns, "Do not move your neighbor's boundary stone set up by your predecessors in the inheritance you receive in the land." God ordained these limits, and Israel is not to seek territory beyond them. This is consistent with Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 8, which says that God has set the boundaries of the peoples according to the number of the sons of Israel, showing His sovereign distribution of land among the nations. Similarly, Ezekiel chapter 47, verses 17 through 20, provides a prophetic vision of Israel's borders in the Messianic age, reaffirming that even in the future restoration, Israel's territorial inheritance remains fixed. Zionism, therefore, is not a movement of conquest but one of return. Return to the specific land given by divine decree. While Zionism is territorially limited, its moral and spiritual mission is universal. The people of Israel were chosen not to dominate, but to bless and enlighten the nations. God declares in Genesis chapter 18, verse 18 that Abraham will surely become a great and powerful nation, and all nations on earth will be blessed through him. This sets the tone for Israel's global role, not as an imperial power, but as a conduit of divine blessing and to serve as a template for the rest of the nations. This righteous influence is to be spread through obedience to God's laws. Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 6 instructs Israel to observe the statutes and commandments, for by doing so, the nations will see your wisdom and understanding. Israel's holiness and justice are to be a model, not a military campaign to conquer other nations. God further declares in Exodus 19, verse 6, "You will be to me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation." As priests mediate between God and others, Israel's calling is to serve as a spiritual intermediary, not an occupying force. This vision is fulfilled in moments like 1 Kings 4:34, where men of all nations came to listen to Solomon's wisdom, and it is prophesied to reach its zenith in the Messianic age. Isaiah 2:4 speaks of a time when all nations will stream to the mountain of the Lord, seeking His ways. The law will go forth from Zion, not with sword, but with truth and justice. Similarly, Isaiah 42:6 and 49:6 call Israel a light to the nations, to bring salvation to the ends of the earth. This righteous influence culminates in visions such as Zechariah 8:20-23, where people from many cities seek the Lord in Jerusalem, saying, "Let us go with you, for we have heard that God is with you." Here, Zionism's influence is global, but its geography remains local. Ezekiel 37:28 affirms, "Then the nations will know that I, the Lord, make Israel holy, when my sanctuary is among them forever." God's presence among His people is the source of global witness, not military expansion. Biblical Zionism is both bounded and boundless, bounded by God's defined borders for the land of Israel, and boundless in its moral and spiritual reach to the nations. Far from colonialism, which seeks foreign domination and exploitation, Zionism is about covenantal return and faithful representation. Its mission is to dwell within its appointed borders and to let the light of God's justice, wisdom, and holiness shine forth, drawing the nations not through conquest, but through example. In this way, Zionism reflects not imperial ambition, but divine intention and respect for another nation's boundary.